You are watching Tech and AI Live. Now we have a great presentation coming up with Mihaela Mazzenga, CTO of North America at Valtech. Her presentation is titled Welcome to the Headless Revolution, Deep Dive. Mihaela has over 12 years of experience driving digital transformations and architecting best-in-breed business-critical software solutions in high-availability environments. As an accomplished CTO, she has a strong focus on strategy, product development, and end-to-end technology operations. She's also able to mesh a culture of innovation with driving business value through solutions ranging from behavioral engagement to composable and headless architectures. So welcome, Mihaela. It's great to have you here. So why don't we get straight into it? Because I know there's like a lot of content to get through.
Thank you, Catherine. That was a mouthful. So thank you for that overview. Hello, everybody. As she said, my name is Mihaela Mazzenga, and welcome to the Headless Revolution. Today, we're going to take a deep dive on headless technologies, mock, and composable solutions to really establish a value agenda for flexibility and survival for today's consumer expectations. For our agenda, we're going to go through some of the basics of mock for those of you out there that have no idea what it means, how this offers flexibility, and then on to some questions and answers. So for Mock 101, Mock is the open and best-of-breed enterprise technology ecosystem. It's microservice-based software that breaks apart monolithic systems and enables a focus on smaller components that can be designed, developed, and deployed independently. API-first solutions ensure that you have fundamental access to the entire platform via APIs. Not that you've started to expose granular functionality iteratively, but that you've exposed all of the functionality from day one. APIs are backed by elastic microservices. Those are certainly the gold standard, and they allow you to seamlessly interact from anywhere, which is really critical to consumer experiences these days. Cloud-native SaaS brings microservices and APIs together, built natively in the cloud, utilizing elastic scale so that independent services access and consume resources relative to their footprints and apply updates automatically. You no longer have to wait months for system provisioning. Today, it's as easy as clicking a free trial button and you're off and running. Infrastructure on demand, truly. Previously, not only did you have to wait for servers to arrive, but you had to wait for specialists to configure them. You had to make sure that they were in compliance with security standards and lots of different implications, which cloud-native SaaS handles implicitly for you. Now, headless is the experience delivery approach, fully decoupling your front-end technology from your back-end system. Contrary to the name, headless is actually meant to yield many heads, to open the world of possibilities and activate software everywhere and from any touch point. It allows you to reuse your core business logic to compose the best solution for each channel and delivers efficacy at scale. It's important to note that not all headless is created equal. The anchoring technologies of microservices, APIs, cloud-native SaaS are critical to the delivery of truly innovative, scalable, and flexible headless solutions where the quality of the composition and orchestration often will dictate success. Focusing a little bit more on headless, what technologies and methodologies drive headless? First, to even get to the point that you start to consider headless or applying multiple heads, you have to do some housekeeping. You want to take stock of all of your business logic and everywhere it is deployed. You want to compare all of that logic and derive the best refactoring of the different versions, if they exist. You want to create a master repository of your core business functionality in that API-first manner so they can be reused via composition. This will allow you to reuse functionality across multiple channels and provide consistency to your end user. An example is search results, ensuring that they're the same on a mobile device as they are on the web, assuming that there aren't supposed to be any differences for those two channels for the purists out there. Today, we still have two major driving methods by which we create and deliver software solutions. We either buy a platform or a commercial off-the-shelf solution that we consider to be turnkey. There's a perception there of speed and quality. Turnkey also has the connotation of being fairly fixed capability option. While we certainly have enterprise all-in-one platforms, we generally find ourselves working around a solution versus working on the solution. We hone not our software engineering skills, but our software configuration skills. And we focus not on the technology specifically and how it can propel the business forward, but we focus on how to work around that technology to get to some critical business features. So there's a lot of technical debt, I would say, that comes across when you are truly buying a platform to utilize for your specific needs. Now, going bespoke, on the other hand, or a custom solution and building something from the ground up, using this approach, you have complete control of the capabilities and you can tailor the needs of the business. And because of the amount of expertise needed to do this correctly, bespoke is sometimes associated with a lack of system maturity as well. There will certainly be caps on scale you are able to achieve, even if you are able to develop a quality solution. Mock really brings forth a happy medium to all of this. We are able to take advantage of the level of enterprise scale found on monolithic platforms, combined with the flexibility of a bespoke and tailored application. You focus on the development of features that can drive the business forward, and you buy and integrate the features that someone else can deliver much better than you can. Why would you decide to build a feature that a software vendor has become an expert on, especially when you can integrate it in such a distributed manner? So how does this new approach offer us flexibility? One of the weaknesses of the API economy alone was the lack of a cohesive voice and holistic view of capabilities. And this is truly where the Mock Alliance comes in. The manifesto of the Alliance is future-proof enterprise technology and prepare current and future digital experience. The Mock Alliance is a not-for-profit body that advocates for open and best-of-breed enterprise technology ecosystems. They aim to educate and support the industry as a whole on what to look out for when planning to move from a legacy infrastructure to going composable, including when, where, and how to start and select partners. The Alliance is a vendor-neutral institution that provides resources, education, and guidance through industry experts to support companies on their journey. Mock is also increasingly a global community of people starting to look at the alternative to older systems that do not offer the agility that businesses truly need, and experts who have been through the entire transition already. The latter group, the true leaders who transform businesses, come together as Mock Alliance ambassadors. I myself am also an Alliance ambassador, so I can speak to all of the complexities and all of the value firsthand. Today, there are over 50 member companies providing that holistic view of capabilities, though many more exist that are fully qualified that you can add to your ecosystem over time. So the value of the Alliance isn't just self-proclaimed. Here we have a quote from a senior Forrester analyst who clearly calls out that the removal of friction in the customer journey utilizing these solutions brings an incredible amount of value. And the Alliance is here to really educate everyone on the best path forward to achieve that business value through the transformation of not only your technology, but your business as well. So when it comes to business buy-in and education, the definition of your why needs to drive it, and it needs to be completely organic. This isn't about what some other organization has done or even how they have accomplished it. Innovation comes through collaboration. And if you aren't making considerations for how technology can accelerate your business, then innovation hasn't been a core competency, and it needs to be. Each use case will be very different, and the motivating factors need to be determined based on current business needs, pain points, and inefficiencies. Focus on how the benefits of Headless connected with your needs. You can truly unify in-store and digital experiences by building a stable base and not reinventing the wheel when building new experiences. You can achieve faster go-to-market for features and improve speed of deployment. It allows you to select best-in-breed vendors for critical features and compose a solution that fits your business needs. It also reduces downtime risk through isolated micro updates. Your deployments will be focused on key features and not overlap with the entire platform when released. The distributed cloud-native systems provide for improved resiliency, allowing for smaller parts to fail. It provides scalability in extreme peak traffic situations and reduces the need for months of preparation. And maybe it also solves looming end of life on current systems and gaps in versioning and gaps in security. All of those benefits align with opportunity costs. Think about the acceleration of technology. And if your technology solutions cannot keep up, then your business won't be able to keep up with consumer expectations. Headless is all about laying the foundation for customer touchpoint acceleration in scalable ways. You know the saying, work smarter, not harder. Well, this is it. You also want to consider if you have the right culture. This is not just about agility. It's about true collaboration and the enablement of teams to harness technology to solve business problems. It is not just tech for tech. And also, do you actually have the right team? How easy or hard is it to instill or accept change within the organization as a whole? Finding the answers to these questions will determine your ability to succeed, not just in implementation, but everything that is bound to also come next. So quality only exists if there is a continuous innovation and deep product focus. One of the differentiators of Mock is that the vendors can go really deep with their features. A monolith will eventually cap on the level of expertise that it can provide. So it is able to go horizontal, but not vertical. Mock SaaS vendors are able to really go deep in feature sets and perfect the product. They yield masters of their respective domains, and they are no longer jacks of all trades and masters at none. This categorically breaks that notion. In the same manner, I mentioned risk reduction previously. You're able to deploy services independently, which means that the level of risk is isolated to the microservice that you deploy. No longer are you looking at long sprint cycles and long deploy timings. You're truly able to instantly release, integrate, test iteratively and multiple times per day. Not to mention that a lot of the functionality also lies behind administrative business screens, freeing up technical teams from daily business maintenance functions. You can see in this very simple example that the more you separate the capabilities, those capabilities stand alone, and risk is centralized only to those services. The more you break this apart, the less risk you have. Previously, with an e-commerce monolith, you release the whole, and the whole has a lot of breaking points, a lot of potential breaking points. Where in the service type of model, each microservice, again, stands alone, and each release only brings risk to that particular service, leaving the rest of the whole truly intact. So your development now becomes granular and distributed. Due to the level of risk reduction, you're able to deploy, change, and disable small parts of your application without holding back innovation at scale. You can create proof of concept features and test them at regular audiences in order to prove the solution and expand the footprint over time. So while the feature itself is one part of the puzzle, how you test and expose it is just as important. Bringing us back to the number of technologies that could be used, it is important to note that not all tools are appropriate depending on the level of scale, though they could be appropriate based on the level of flexibility. When you look at strangulation and migration approaches, it's generally very important to isolate these changes. A little bit of an introduction to something that I call micro roadmaps. A micro roadmap takes your innovation and proof of concept initiatives and aligns them with business value in the fastest manner possible. All right, so what you're seeing on the screen isn't the depiction of a couple-week release cycle. It is truly the release of very specific features in a much more accelerated manner than you could have ever been able to achieve before, really harnessing Mock technologies. This is the true spirit of Agile, incremental yet intentional. If you aren't asking the business what value your feature will add, then you should definitely circle back with them. The faster that you understand how you can bring value not only to the end user, but also to your organization, the better. I understand that sometimes, and maybe a lot of times, as technologists, we can get really passionate about the technology itself. It means absolutely nothing if it doesn't bring value to the business. It might not be realized value. Maybe it's simply perceived, but it has to somehow bring value. In a great value-driven organization, this certainly won't be a question. If you happen to be a part of an organization where this is a little fuzzy, then focus on the end user and what brings value to them. You can then take those initiatives and map them incrementally due to the small footprint, due to the risk reduction, and increment changes faster than you could ever been before. Roadmaps now become granular at the monthly level versus at the yearly level, or greater in some organizations like they were before. So we've talked about scale and risk reduction and innovation and proof of concepts and micro roadmaps. And all of this truly results in fast time to market. Time to market is really time to value for your organization. Fast time to market in today's standards can mean the difference between new customer conversion and a failed customer journey. So you certainly have a lot to consider on why you may choose to utilize this approach in the future. One of the most exciting value propositions of Mock is truly the enablement of experiences everywhere. I think we all feel it as consumers today, as we're able to really interact with a company, with an organization, in our cars, on our laptops, on our phones, maybe on our watches, and who knows what other technology will be in the future. And this is not limited just to commerce. This can be applied to any industry and vertical. And the headless capability will allow you to consistently apply these experiences across channels and touch points. We are no longer reinventing the wheel. We are no longer looking at massive regression. We're no longer worried about massive scale. We are in turn buying it through the SaaS service offerings. And when executed and managed well, this allows us to deploy experiences everywhere. Not only that, but allows us to deploy consistent experiences everywhere. At the end of the day, as engineers, our goals are to build software that people love to use. At least I hope that is a common goal for all engineers out there. And even if that isn't your goal, and it's not tightly tied to the end user, if you are a technologist for technology's sake, then Mock is still a great playground for you to take advantage of the best cloud SaaS service compositions that there are to offer. Mock accelerates these personal goals when truly supporting business value. And it brings back the spirit of the software craft. It allows us to focus on the niche features and harness the power of enterprise technologies within our own solution sets. The world of software development is truly undergoing a massive sea of change at the moment. So I would encourage everyone not to forget to take time to truly appreciate that journey and the advancement in technology that has brought us here. I thank you guys for listening to me ramble for 20 minutes about Headless and Mock, and hope that you've taken some value out of it and how you can accomplish and look at your next initiative in terms of technology transformation.
Well, thank you so much for that presentation. It was really interesting, and I think people definitely got value from it because we've had a few questions come in. So I'd like to ask you some of those before we move on to the next speaker. So I think seems to be a little uncertainty about going headless. So what are the risks? So this person has asked, what are the risks of our company not going headless?
I think that maybe the better question is, what are the risks of staying stagnant? Because I think stagnation is a much greater risk to an organization, and some form of continuous improvement is necessary. And as I just referenced, as consumers, we have high expectations. We have high expectations to interact in ways that we wouldn't have considered conventional before, like, in our cars or from our watches, et cetera, wherever we have an opportunity, I think, to apply an experience. Organizations that are really progressive out there are going to take the opportunity to do that, to really reach the greatest customer base.
That's really interesting. So it's definitely something essential to stay competitive. So I think obviously that might be part of this next question, but the answer, should I say, is how do I explain Headless to my executive team?
Yeah, so I think the competitiveness and staying relevant is definitely top of mind. And again, what happens if you don't? And maybe it's not just Headless. It can really apply, I think, to the rapid change that we are seeing in technology today, and with harnessing everything that the cloud has to offer. I think you can really build really impactful experiences, more so than you ever could before. So, but in a really plain way to explain that, I would say that it's the capability to reach more customers in more places and with less total cost of ownership. You are allowing your business to focus on a higher level of execution, to focus on your very specific niche business needs, and not just focus on the technology operations that were weighing us down previously. All of that is now offloaded to the SaaS vendors, and your team is now really focusing on those customer-based features.
Brilliant. And another question that's come in is, are my competitors in this space actually going headless, or is it still kind of early days?
Well, speaking from her firsthand experience, I went through this transformation journey over 2 years ago. So I think the answer is truly both. They are definitely going headless. The mock approach and the modernization of software solutions is happening, and I might be have a little bit of a jaded or biased view of that because I'm really into the work every day. But at the same time, I would say that I also think it's still early. The early adopters, though, will be much more agile in their business operations, and they'll be much more capable of truly leapfrogging the competition.
Oh, that's interesting. So you said that you went through this journey a couple of years ago. So just maybe, because obviously these questions from the audience, it sounds like a lot of them are thinking about it or kind of in the early stages. What would maybe be your biggest bit of advice or biggest lesson learned? Because obviously in a perfect world, these journeys would happen without obstacles and hurdles, but some always seem to come up. So is there any kind of nuggets of insight or advice you could give to the audience?
Yes, I'm a very strong proponent of something that I presented in this presentation, and that is truly understanding your why. So I can guarantee that if you're on a legacy system today, you have some pains, some hurdles, maybe a lot of pains and a lot of hurdles, and getting past those and onto something more modern, more efficient is half the battle. But understanding why you need transformation really holistically, and how you want to engage with your customers better is really where you need to start, because the technology, this approach, it's going to be something else in the future. It won't be mock, and it won't be cloud, and who knows what's coming at us next. So I can guarantee that it will continue to change. And this is really requiring organizations to be more agile and to change faster than they ever did before. But don't do it just to do it. Really outline your own value proposition and why you want to transform, and the value that you want to bring for your customers by doing that, and then let the technology follow those goals.
Brilliant. So obviously you mentioned how it's everything is constantly changing. So like you said that you've been through your journey. So what's next, do you think, for you, and where you kind of take that?
I think what this type of solution offers is that higher level of execution. So once you're past the basics of that massive lift from an old technology ecosystem to a new technology ecosystem, now that you're no longer really spending your time on the operations of technology, and you can really start to focus on the end user, end customer features that bring value, and that connection of, the most ideal customer journey, and really putting the customer at the focus is what comes next after the initial transformation, because the initial transformation is all about setting that foundation, and that foundation then allows you to iteratively innovate, and hopefully innovate on behalf of your customers, and therefore drive value to the business.
Brilliant. So I think we've got time for one more question, should I say. So obviously you said about how it's elevating that customer experience. So what differences do you think people would see from now to then once we get to that point of enhancing that customer experience?
I think we're going to, and it's already happening, right? There are micro experiences on every device, and on a lot of the apps that we use, in-app purchases on Instagram, and on Facebook, and probably soon very deeply integrated into our TVs or streaming services like YouTube. So I don't think it's going to stop. I think we're going to see a lot of really interesting applications of digital experiences to bring products to customers in ways that weren't possible before. And you truly cannot do that on a monolithic platform. It's very hard to scale that, to say, well, today we're only operating on the web, but tomorrow we want to integrate into smart TVs, and allow a purchasing path via YouTube. I mean, who knows what the journey truly is. And you need to start really breaking the experience apart, breaking the system apart, consolidating all of the core factors, and allowing them to be accessible from all of those touch points. So the more capability you have to be headless, what I mean by that is the more capability you have to add multiple heads at no additional cost. And I say that because if your core has been built, then you're not rebuilding the core for each type of device. What you are going to build is the experience layer or the front end layer, whatever that looks like, however you need to integrate into a smart TV as an example. But on the back end of that, things stay relatively the same. So the total cost of ownership to truly expanding experiences everywhere is a fraction at what it would have looked like before, when we needed to build everything for the web in one manner, and then everything for native mobile applications, as an example, in another manner, and then maybe wearable devices in yet a third manner. So you're really starting to reduce not only the engineering time, but that time to market by centralizing that core and allowing you to iterate on those experiences, leading into the customer much faster.
I think I was muted there. So sorry about that. But I think we are going to have to wrap up there. It's all we've got time for. We managed to cram loads in. So thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us today, Mihaela. It's been really, really interesting.
No, thank you guys so much for having me. And as you can tell, I'm passionate about the topic, but certainly have the right to do so, having all of the scars of having gone through this type of transformation. So reach out anytime if you have any questions. And next time you see an experience in a weird device somewhere, probably know that it's being driven by this type of technology.
Definitely. So thank you so much. And thank you to the audience for watching. Make sure you stay tuned and check out the rest of our speakers for Tech and AI Live.